Police launch an investigation into a military truck crash that killed a mother and daughter on their way to school. Be careful what you bin. The safety of thousands of garbage workers is in the spotlight following a spate of explosions. Hailed as a national treasure for his hand-painted movie posters, we pay tribute to Chen Zifu, who's died at the age of 96. And record numbers of endangered Blackfaced Spoonbills are flocking to Taiwan. We'll tell you why. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yin Khvat. Police are investigating a military truck accident that killed a mother and her 6-year-old daughter outside Taipei. The pair were on their way to school when the truck hit their scooter. The 6th Army Command says it's cooperating with the police and will punish those responsible. John Van Trieste reports.
A fatal moment captured on CCTV. A military truck on a supply run just outside Taipei takes a turn. But just at the edge of the camera's field of vision, there's a sudden collision. The truck hit a mother and daughter on a scooter, killing them both. They were on their way to a kindergarten. Local police have seized the truck and are reviewing its dash cam footage to find out what caused the accident. They're also investigating the driver. In recent months, Taiwan's military has had several mishaps and accidents on base and during training exercises. But it's unusual for these incidents to involve civilians. The military says it's reviewing regulations, and all those found responsible, from the driver to the commanding officers, could face punishment. Patrick Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
4 soldiers have been injured after an anti-tank weapon accidentally went off during a live-fire inspection in Hsinchu in the country's north. The wounded were sent to hospital, but none of the injuries were serious. The Defense Ministry has suspended live-fire testing and inspections. An investigation has been launched. China is likely to ramp up diplomatic attacks on Taiwan, Taiwan's foreign minister has warned. Speaking in Parliament on Wednesday, Joseph Wu said he expected security threats and diplomatic attacks to continue now Chinese leader Xi Jinping has secured a historic third term. China claims Taiwan as its own and forbids recognition of the country on the international stage, leaving Taipei with just 14 official allies. Wu told Parliament he had intelligence that China was luring existing allies into switching allegiance to Beijing.
20大之后，中国在外交上面会不会对台湾有更多的这个动作了哈？那在我的报告里面也有提到，就是这个是我们担心的，有可能中国对台湾的这种攻势威胁会增加，尤其是在外交的场域啦，他们的攻击威胁有可能增加。
German lawmakers visiting Taipei say China will pay a, quote, enormous price if it invades Taiwan. The cross-party group is on a 4-day trip to the country and is the second German delegation to visit this month. Human rights are a focus of the group, with the delegation's head calling for a moratorium on executions in Taiwan. But the biggest warning was sounded on Beijing's expansionism.
Natürlich besteht die Gefahr, dass China, wenn sie erstmal Taiwan erobert hat, weitere Eroberungen macht. Wir müssen hier einen Imperialismus feststellen, den China an den Tag legt, der viel an die europäische Kolonialzeit des 19. Jahrhunderts erinnert. Deshalb muss man China schnell stoppen.
A Ukrainian lawmaker has thanked Taiwan for its support of Ukraine, saying Taiwan is now viewed as an ally of the war-torn country. Kira Rudik is in Taiwan for the Global Assembly of the World Movement for Democracy. She serves on Ukraine's Committee on Digital Transformation. She says she hopes to learn about Taiwan's advanced security systems, which could help Ukraine combat Russian cyber attacks.
We know your support. We hear it, we see it, we feel it. In this matter, hearing some dictators saying, oh, maybe you should stay away, is just ridiculous. Because they want us to stay away. And they want that we will not.
Taiwan marked Cleaning Team Day on Tuesday, calling attention to the hazardous conditions faced by the country's 30,000 people working in garbage disposal. As Rick Glauert reports, accidents caused by exploding trash are on the rise.
A city garbage truck caught on fire, caused, rubbish collectors say, by a battery thrown out with the daily refuse.
这其实蛮危险的，因为我们在我们的站置区啊，我们曾经就有发生过电池爆炸的问题。我们场内有热显像，它就有做一个追踪，我们快点及时灭火，不然一旦烧起来那个整个会是一个蛮严重的。
In Taiwan, residents themselves throw their trash into trucks that drive through the neighborhoods each day. And over the recent Mid-Autumn Festival weekend, garbage collectors found nearly 400 gas canisters, causing explosions and injuring staff. Accidents like these, caused by incorrectly discarded combustible items, are on the rise in the country. It's not the only hazard faced by those in the industry. A worker falling to his death from the back of a truck has also prompted some local governments to tighten their precautions, including implementing the use of safety ropes.
对，很麻烦，一定会多了一道工序的，一道手续。
就是要命就不要怕麻烦。
对。
By declaring a National Cleaning Day, the Environmental Protection Administration is encouraging citizens to be diligent about properly separating their garbage to protect workers, and reminding them of a nearly $200 fine for failing to do so. The authorities want to draw attention to a risky industry that employs 30,000 people, whose work is often taken for granted. Yuan and Rick Glauert for TaiwanPlus.
The world's largest contract chipmaker, TSMC, has fallen to its lowest valuation in over 2 years. TSMC's stock slipped by 4.13% on the Taiwan Stock Exchange on Tuesday. The sharp drop saw the company's market cap dip below $312 billion. The stock rebounded slightly during trading on Wednesday. TSMC's stock price has dropped by around $8 per share since mid-August, reflecting a wider drop in the tech-heavy Taiwan exchange. German tech conglomerate Merck has opened a new facility in southern Taiwan's Kaohsiung city. The plant is a manufacturing hub for semiconductor materials. It is part of Merck's more than $500 million expansion into Taiwan, announced last year. The investment plan is expected to create 400 jobs. Kaohsiung Mayor Chen Chi-mai was at the opening ceremony.
10个月的时间，这个厂就已经完工，这个速度非常快。那这个也意味着说，在台南、高雄这些半导体从代工，到封装，等等这一个部分的对于上游的材料设备需求的一个强劲。
Taiwan is stepping up border inspections to prevent African swine fever from entering the country. Taiwan reopened to international tourists earlier this month, and while the move is likely to provide a boost to the local economy, it increases the possibility the disease could gain a foothold in the country. African swine fever has devastated hog farmers around the world. To protect Taiwan's domestic pork producers, the government has implemented a strict ban on overseas arrivals, bringing in meat products. Violators can be fined up to $31,000. One of the last masters of a special Taiwan art form has died at the age of 96. Chen Zifu painted movie posters by hand. He created over 5,000 posters during his career and was considered a national treasure. Chen retired from painting in 1994 and was honored for his work at the 2006 Golden Horse Awards, the Oscars of Chinese language cinema. His pieces were featured in a light show on Taiwan's presidential office building early this month. Coming up here on TaiwanPlus, the first US coin to feature an Asian American is officially in circulation. So just who is Anna Mae Wong? We'll take a closer look after the break.
This is 我们台湾人要送给台湾的礼物。
我们都清楚，我们都在一起，在完成一件事情。
这是我们的根。
For more stories from around the world and from right here in Changhua County, Taiwan, visit www.taiwanplus.com. Right? He says moo.
Today, 台湾人要了解的是，我们跟这片土地关系里面，它是跟你的生命的根源息息相关。像这个红块、扁柏等等，他们都是台湾的神明。长期以来，我一直误以为我在抢救山林，直到最近10年来，我才了解，我从来没有抢救山林，而是山林从来在抢救我们。我们的地球46亿年来，我们就是它的一部分，它就是我们共同的灵魂，流传在我的血液中，也流动在树叶当中。
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. It turns out Taiwan is the place to be if you're a black-faced spoonbill. The endangered species of wading birds are flocking to the wetlands of southwestern Taiwan for the winter. And as John Van Trieste reports, some marshes are seeing record-breaking numbers.
It's feeding time at this wetland on Taiwan's southwest coast. Hundreds of endangered black-faced spoonbills have flown here on their annual migration from the north. In the space of a few weeks, nearly 1,000 have arrived, a record. The environmental group that's adopted this marsh credits its own efforts to restore habitat. Water from nearby fish ponds has also been diverted into the salt pan, bringing with it fish, shrimp, and other of the birds' favorite foods. But not all of Taiwan's coastal wetlands are seeing the same boom in bird numbers. Bird lovers have singled out the Yong'an wetland, another marsh 60 kilometers to the south, as a place where more habitat restoration is needed. Here, only around 30 birds have shown up this season. The land is administered by Taiwan's state-run power company, Taipower, which has a solar plant nearby. Environmentalists want the company to do more to keep the marsh from drying up.
渡冬的候鸟大部分都是水鸟啦，那有水的话，就水中会有很多的 鱼虾贝类，还有一些软体生物，这都是候鸟很重要的食物。干涸的话，那些食物就会不见，候鸟就没办法就觅食栖息。
Taipower says it's begun pumping water into the marsh to help the situation. The goal is to attract more spoonbills to rest here over the long winter months, so that their numbers continue to grow in the years ahead. Patrick Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
The United Nations Refugee Agency is calling on Malaysia to stop deporting refugees back to Myanmar. The UNHCR says it has received reports of hundreds of cases of such cases over the past 2 months, including former Navy officers seeking asylum. It says the deportations violate international law. Myanmar has been mired in unrest since February 2021, when the military overthrew the democratically elected government.
The situation in Myanmar is forcing people to flee to seek safety within the country and across borders. UNHCR appeals to the Malaysian authorities to abide by their international legal obligations and ensure the full respect for the rights of people in need of international protection.
As the 20th Communist Party Congress drew to a close last week in Beijing, the unexpected removal of former leader Hu Jintao provided a rare moment of drama amid the prescribed pageantry. Ryan Kirkpatrick has this report.
This is the scene that ignited speculation around the world. Former Chinese President Hu Jintao is escorted out of the closing ceremony of the Communist Party's 20th Congress, moments before his successor, Xi Jinping, secures a norm-breaking third term in office. The official explanation, Hu was unwell, but is much better now.
这不是一个外交问题，既然你提到了，我注意到新华网记者已经发布了有关的信息，你可以查阅，如果感兴趣的话。
But new footage that has since emerged has only added fuel to the fire. Before his ejection, Hu is seen attempting to read a file that is then pulled away by outgoing Politburo member Li Jianshu. Some China watchers say the episode symbolizes Xi's ascension to uncontested power.
They're all Xi Jinping's men. There is just one faction now dominating the party, the Xi Jinping faction. And clearly all these leaders have worked with Xi Jinping, they were promoted by Xi Jinping, and no other factions are represented in leadership.
Jockeying between factions at the top of the Communist Party hierarchy previously provided some checks on its otherwise unassailable authority. But the new Politburo Standing Committee, the party's highest decision-making body, was unveiled after Hu's removal, and it is stacked with Xi's allies. This too broke with norms cemented by Hu on experience and qualifications, instead prioritizing personal allegiance to Xi.
Jiang Zemin's faction has disappeared. The Hu Jintao's faction has been sidelined. Even Hu Chunhua now is not anymore member of the Politburo. So both the Standing Committee of the Politburo and the Politburo are dominated by Xi Jinping's men.
Complicating the suggestion that Hu's removal was a choreographed display to humiliate him and disavow his legacy is the authorities' censorship of the incident, which has not been broadcast on Chinese TV. Online searches for Hu's name have also been censored. As the speculation roils, one thing is clear: just how little is known about the inner dealings at the top of China's ruling party. Kaohsiung and Ryan Kirkpatrick for TaiwanPlus.
Hong Kong pro-democracy activist and publisher Jimmy Lai has been found guilty on 2 counts of fraud. A Hong Kong court ruled that Lai had concealed the fact that other companies had worked out of the offices of Apple Daily, the pro-democracy newspaper he founded. It stopped printing last year amid a crackdown on media freedom in the city. Lai is already serving a 20-month sentence for taking part in pro-democracy protests in 2019. He is also awaiting trial on charges brought under the territory's sweeping national security law. China's currency, the renminbi, has fallen to its lowest level against the US dollar in 15 years. It comes as China's President Xi Jinping stacked his top political body with loyalists at the recently concluded Chinese Communist Party Congress. That's prompted fresh concerns China will be more driven by ideology, meaning a less welcoming environment for foreign businesses and investors. Shares in China's biggest tech firms have also dropped significantly since the end of the party congress. To find out more about concerns over Chinese currency and economy, our reporter James Chater spoke to Vishnu Varathan, Head of Economics and Strategy for Asia at Mizuho Bank in Singapore.
Explain what we've seen happen to the Chinese currency since the end of the Chinese Communist Party Congress, and why is this important?
At the risk of oversimplifying, it appears that the Chinese currency and broader Chinese asset markets have sold off. And presumably this reflects two things. One is perhaps a certain degree of uncertainty around what to anticipate in terms of policy, and in particular, a pivot to pro-growth policies. But there is a second layer to this. The second layer perhaps reflects that in aggregate, of course, the details and the nuances matter, but in aggregate, there is a sense that the policy making mechanism around this transition is perhaps going to be focused more on geopolitics and in terms of party ideologies rather than pragmatic economic growth concerns.
So how much of what we've seen is markets simply doing what they do, and how much of it is really driven by concerns about the direction of China's government after the Party Congress?
I think we can quite safely say that there is a certain degree of expectations mismatch here. And I think the most discernible one is around growth. And we can get into it at more granular levels. I think COVID-0 policies not being unambiguously rolled back, or at least having a plan around the exit, that perhaps was the first knee jerk, and that expectation not being met, probably through the first blow at markets. But that said, the politics around this has also given rise to significant concerns, if not consternation, around where China is headed. The two major branches of concern, if one must, has got to do with echo chamber type of policy making risks. The second branch, if you must, has got to do with both the geopolitical aspect of doubling down, hence increasing risks as the security objectives consume more of the resources.
China's economy is already under pressure from COVID lockdowns, US export controls, and now this pressure on the currency. Are you pessimistic on China's economy going forward?
I think perhaps the right way for me to answer this is to reference it to my frame of mind, say 12 months ago. So am I more pessimistic? Certainly a lot more pessimistic. I'll be the first to admit, sometimes markets are hard to please, and there are certain aspects of it that could be transactional. In this case, however, there are justifiable concerns, and I think we can distill down these concerns to the opacity around policy. I think whether it is the markets or bona fide long-term investors, the inability to wrap their heads around the policy intent and path does give rise to, I think, justifiable questions, and hence the restraint in any optimism around the plans being made.
A milestone in representation and diversity in US currency. Actor Mae Wong is the first ever Asian American to be featured on a coin. Eric Gao reports.
Freshly minted, these coins are the first in the United States to have the image of an Asian American on them, actor Mae Wong. It's part of a series being produced by the U.S. Mint to honor influential women in the country's history.
Women who were pioneering, women who were trailblazing, women who made a difference, women who persevered. And there's no one as important as many other women, but Mae Wong. When you think about Mae Wong, she was the first Asian American actress, 60 films under her credit. She, in fact, not only starred in silent film and TV, but also in theater. She made a difference, and she changed the dynamics of entertainment for Asian Americans.
By honoring women in U.S. history, the Mint hopes to inspire future generations to learn more about these important individuals.
We get to, as artists, take three-dimensional geometry, create a beautiful piece of artwork, right? That maybe 1,000 years from now, somebody will either dig up, might find in a museum, and the curiosity from what they see might drive them to learn about something or figure out what the reasoning was behind a coin. And from that, they might, educate themselves on Anna Mae Wong or, Wilma Mankiller or like a Hovita Adar. It's just an amazing, snapshot in time.
The coin's entire design is dedicated to women. While the reverse side still features George Washington, this version was made by Laura Garden Fraser in 1931.
When people hold this coin in their hands, it is absolutely a fully immersive experience of American women in United States history, both as artists and as heroes. A woman sculpted the obverse, the portrait of George Washington. She's an artist and a hero for her time, especially. And then every single reverse tells a different story about a different great American that some people either know very well or some people are just newly discovering. So it's an incredible program.
Anna Mae Wong's quarter is among the first in a series that will span multiple years. As the coins circulate across the country, more people will learn of the legacy of this groundbreaking woman. Klein Wong and Eric Gao for TaiwanPlus.
People in many parts of the world were treated to a special sight on Tuesday, the final solar eclipse of 2022. Sky watchers from Western Europe to South Asia gathered outside to watch the partial eclipse, which occurs when the sun, moon and earth align. The eclipse started in the sky above Iceland and ended in India. The next partial eclipse isn't expected until 2025. Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Finally today, we leave you with images of autumn leaves in Canada. I'm Yin Khvat. Take care and see you next time.